Rinkside Shadow. I am Shadow, followed by Scowls and McDustin. Today, we have a grand scheme of things to talk about. Preseason, potential trades. Stay tuned, because you're not going to want to miss this episode. What's going on, guys?
Oh, not a lot. Whole lot, Shadow. What about you?
Oh, just chilling. Got my belt on. Ready for that, the Leafs to take on the ship this year.
Pretty sick belt, too.
Yeah, that is.
What do the Rangers got?
A couple more recent than you guys.
Look at that jersey, though.
I got one back there.
Yeah, but that one's better.
Yeah, I don't know about that. My players meant more to his team than that player.
Can't even see whose jersey it is, bro.
Mike Richter.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
You
don't need to see who it is. You should know by the number.
Number's irrelevant. Nobody cares. Anyways.
It's not the number on the back. It's the logo on the front, right?
Exactly.
It's not the name on the back that matters. It's the name on the front.
Exactly. Unless it's this jersey, then it's the name on the back that matters. Because that's an all-star.
Okay.
So, we're at the end of the preseason. How are we feeling with our teams right now?
Personally, I think it's kind of hard to read too much into the preseason. You're not having an all-star lineup, your full lineup every single night. We're not knowing, we're not playing against the other team's usual toughest competition either.
Well, I would say the last couple of games of the preseason are the ones that actually determine, give you a good sense of what can happen in the regular season, because that's usually when you have everybody and rosters are finalized. But yeah, overall, you only get 6 games for preseason?
It actually varies per team. Like Toronto played 8 preseason games.
That's weird.
Yeah, some teams play 6. I think some teams play as low as 5.
Just a reminder, this podcast is brought to you by Prime.
Yeah, looking at the standings, you had 2 teams play 9 games, and then the least amount that anybody played was 6.
Yeah.
If I went off of the preseason for my team, we're in for a rough year.
Yeah. So, I know this kind of gets brought up every year, but what do you guys think? Do you think the preseason's too long? Do you think
I don't think it's too long. I think it's too late.
Scrimmaging? Well, yeah, they could start it first week of September. Lead into the first week of October be the season.
Yeah, realistically, if you have the season to begin October 1st, per se, means the cup is awarded no later than May 25th, May 31st-ish. So June, July off, go back into training camps in mid-August. These are high-end arenas we're talking about, so there's no reason the ice can't be in there.
Yeah.
I think it's too long. Or it's too late into the year. Okay, we're going into week 2 of October and hockey's just starting. I mean, preseason's preseason. Yeah. I get it. But, those aren't meaningful games yet.
Well,
I think they're trying to avoid baseball so much with the playoffs.
Yeah. That, but I think you risk a lot of chances of injury too, though. Some guys trying to make a team, and you got a Panarin on the Rangers, or you got Matthews on the Leafs, and some guys trying to make that team. You can throw that hit, and you could have a devastating injury for your year.
That's a good point. That is a solid point. Do we really, really, really need a preseason, though?
I think you want to get see how your guys are going, and it's a chance to see guys making the team kind of thing, and seeing what you have in your systems. But
but you could run inner squads.
It's not intentionally.
What's
Should your
that?
stars be playing in the preseason though?
Not the same intensity. Like when you play
No.
people on your own team as opposed to opponents, you don't get the same game feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Just like
so
practice, right?
like Duster just said, do you play the stars though?
Right. So maybe cut it down to a 5-game preseason and you use that
Yeah,
to see all your young guys to see who is ready to make the squad, who you're going to carry as
exactly.
extras. And then your regular guys maybe play 1 or 2 of those games so you can see how they play with them.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of players will say though they do like the season. They try and get going and get back. That helps them like find their kind of rhythm when the season starts. But usually the first week or two of the season is pretty sloppy hockey as well, though.
Yeah, very much, right? Like a lot of like the guys are trying to find their rhythm even with the preseason. So like
Yeah,
it's almost as if the preseason's null and void because not everybody's playing every game in the preseason either.
yeah,
I don't know. Like I feel like the preseason's good for the rookies and maybe the first, second year guys. After that, it doesn't really matter, right? Because
100%.
your
Like,
roster is your roster. You're looking to add
yeah,
maybe 3 or 4 players, if that, on a good
yeah,
semi team there. So I don't feel the
yeah.
need that any of the main roster actually has to play in any of these preseason games.
Well,
They could run scrimmages
really,
against themselves just to get into the flow of game style.
yeah. Well, really, any cup contender or even playoff contenders out there, really, how many spots are they really going to have available? Like, I get you fight for a job
Any
and
given
make a guy
year,
lose a job, but
maybe 3 spots.
that's like a lot for maybe one even.
That's countering in free agent losses and stuff
Yeah,
like that, right? So maybe
yeah,
between 1 and 3 spots is really that's all up for grabs.
yeah.
And you have 50
So
guys
like,
trying for them.
yeah, like even Vegas, like would Vegas even really have a spot for someone like that coming up through their system?
I mean, Henderson's got a great program going on over there. Like
Yeah,
they surprised a lot of people last year in the AHL playoffs.
yeah.
Same with the Calgary Wranglers, I think they're called, or Abbotsford Wranglers, which is the Calgary Flames.
It's no longer, is it not the Stampede anymore? Or they get rid of that name?
Stampede would be CFL, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, um, last year, 3/4 of the way into the season, you had the Toronto Marlies #1 in the East, and you had the Calgary Wranglers #1 in the West. It was looking as if we are going to see an all Canadian AHL final, but it didn't happen. The Hershey Bears ultimately won, I believe, their 7th championship, which is
Yeah, they
astronomical. Like their program, like Washington has a great organization. Hershey has excelled excellently over the last 100 years of the AHL. It's one of the premier destinations for AHL players.
Yeah, that's a place that players strive to get to if they want to build and have an AHL career.
Mhm.
Like last year, former London Knight, I believe it's McMichael. Yeah, he just won a
Yeah,
championship with Hershey. You know, kid's a strong player. He hasn't been able to crack the Capitals lineup yet. He's been in there a couple
yeah,
times, but he hasn't been focused on mainstay yet. But I'm
yeah.
excited for when
He's
he makes the show, man, because I've watched him progress through the juniors, and I think he's got what it takes to hang out in the big leagues.
yeah, McMichael. He's actually a local kid to my town.
That's
A lot
pretty
of
interesting.
yeah, a lot of people
Yeah,
forget that a lot of these players come from really, really small towns. They're not all Toronto.
yeah. Well, my cousin's best
What's up,
friends with his
Jax?
sister.
Sorry to cut you off there, Duster.
What I was saying was my cousin is like best friends with Connor McMichael's sister.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah.
I played on a junior team, not like national junior, but a junior team with the 9th overall pick in 2011, the Avalanche, Duncan Seaman. He's nowhere to be found now. He never made the mainstay roster in the NHL, being as high drafted as he was. I don't even
Okay.
think he's playing
Yeah.
in North America anymore.
Sometimes that just happens.
Yeah.
It does. I mean,
Like, I'd say a perfect example is Neil Yakupov from Edmonton.
dude, he shot himself in the foot once he scored his first goal and
Yeah.
skated to the center of the ice. That told you all you needed to know about him.
Yeah.
Some
Well,
people are just
the
not
only
built
person
for it.
the only person that he even produced with was McDavid, and pretty sure you can almost put anyone on the line with McDavid, and they're going to get some points.
I mean, shit, Dusty, you could probably lace up and have a 50-point season.
I don't know about that one, but
I
for
think so.
sure.
We could put our good buddy Fat Sexy on the ice. Never skated, and I guarantee you, he still puts up at least 35 with McDavid on a line.
Yeah, more than likely.
But speaking of that, speaking of McDavid, I don't remember if this was last episode that we talked about it or if I had a conversation with somebody else. Forgive me, it's been a long week. Is the window closing in Edmonton for Draisaitl and McDavid, like wanting to be there?
I honestly don't know. Like, obviously, a lot of people will go home. Ever since Tavares signed in Toronto, everyone wants to go home to their home kind of town where they grew up, wanting to play hockey. So I know he wants to win. You can definitely see it in him that
Right.
when he wins, it just destroys him.
You have to think at some point, McDavid's going to say, fuck this. You're not doing anything for me. You keep bringing in veteran players that aren't helping what we need. Like, I fucking love Zach Hyman. He had a great year last year, but he's not the guy that's going to help you get the cup. Jack Campbell, signing him, that worked well.
I could see Campbell having a bit of a bounce back year. Like, there's no way he's going to be as bad.
Well, McDavid is far better than LeBron James will ever be because he doesn't take games off.
Yeah, but
Did you say whoa?
I said whoa.
That's not even a whoa statement, man.
It is because LeBron James is top 2 all time.
And by the time McDavid's done, he'll be the same.
I don't know
have
if
the championships to back it up.
I don't know if I'd argue top 2.
There's a little asterisk beside those championships. He built those teams around him to get them.
Not all of them. Nope.
This isn't an NBA show. You want to have an NBA talk? We'll do that on Monday night.
That's fine. I'm just saying he didn't build the one in Cleveland. That was not a built team.
Okay. Anyways.
But
you're coming on Monday because we're going to have this discussion.
For Edmonton,
sorry for the interruption.
You were saying,
at 11 p.m. on Mondays.
For Edmonton, you were saying, is their time almost done? So the next 2 years, their core is all locked up. They essentially have the same team for the next 2 years, minus 7 total like 6 or 7 players out of everybody they have. And the 6 or 7 that's missing are not real key players.
They're not the core.
Oh my
god! So
what's up, podcast white people?
I definitely think
friend.
I definitely think it's their next 2 years is that it's going to show to McDavid. But really, if they're going to make any more progress, it's going to the Stanley Cup final because that's their next step.
Well, they've been to the West, so they need to make the Cup final.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But their goaltending is lackluster at best.
But
like you get
as the playoffs
you get
show,
glimpses.
Man, a guy like
you get
a guy like Bob proves though that goaltending can get hot.
Hey, I'm not saying it doesn't. What I'm saying is you can't just have flashes in the pans here, and here. It takes 16 wins to get that cup.
Yeah.
Can Skinner be that goalie though of the future?
No. He proved that in the playoffs last year. He can't.
That's because he played too much.
I think the defensive front
Campbell
will
wasn't
collapsed.
playable. But Campbell wasn't playable either during the season.
I mean, we seen Campbell in a playoffs pressure cooker in Toronto, and he didn't live up to that hype either. Not to say
haven't
we've
seen
also
played
seen
horrible in
Reimer,
Toronto.
we've seen Anderson, we've seen
Bernier.
Samsonov. It's not easy. Like, I don't know what it's like in the States, but I assume New York is kind of relatively like Canada in this regard, as they're highly watched a lot to what they're going to do.
Yeah.
Any market you play for in Canada, the expectations are stupid.
Sky high.
If you get off to a slow start here, like if the Rangers are not 7 games above 500 by the time they're 15 games in, people are already calling the season a failure. Like, that's how quick the fan base turns on here.
Bro, if Toronto doesn't win game 1 of the season, fuck, there goes the season.
Yeah.
Our resident token guy, Cam, was at the pay-per-view of wrestling tonight, but this isn't a wrestling. Have fun, stay safe in downtown Indianapolis, my guy. Get home safely. Let us know when you get there. What up, Mikey P? Will, you're always
Mikey?
Sky high. But okay, Duster, here's one for you. I'm gonna have one for Scals. Is it time to move on from the William Nylander project?
See, that is a tough one. I
Given
love
who
Willie.
we picked up
I love
this
Willie
year.
as a player.
Where does Nylander fit in now, given we picked up Bertuzzi and Domi?
He's going to stay on the wing. He has to. I don't see... You're not paying a third-line center $10 million. That just doesn't make sense. Can't play center. I believe center should be making... Like a top center should be making superstar money when they are superstars.
If we're the Buzz, we're keeping Matthews. He's the future captain of the team.
Yeah.
And he's signed for the next 4 years after this year.
But what do you get
Appreciate
for
that,
Nylander? Like, how do you win a William Nylander trade?
Nylander is still very productive. If I'm
and he's one of the only players that have showed up every year consistently in the playoffs.
Right. If I'm trading Nylander, the markets I'm trading him to are a Western team for sure, because I don't want him in the East coming back to bite us in the ass.
He would 100% be that player.
As much as I hate this, because I feel like, the Edmonton Maple Leafs, but I'd trade him to Edmonton. Bring back a guy like Hyman for him with a couple draft picks.
I think they need that stud defenseman still. I think that kind of defenseman like the Rangers have in Trouba.
Okay, but who in the West could you take for him? Because the West doesn't have... The East is clearly the beast when it comes to defense.
I think you look to a place like Calgary. I think you look at Hanifin plus something.
Hanifin? Really?
He's familiar with Bradford Living.
What if you... who's that young... Because there is a good defenseman in Vancouver right now.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're talking about Hanifin, if you're gonna talk about Hanifin, you're just swapping an expiring contract for an expiring contract. That's not going to get you any. That's not going to get you any extra assets.
But what is Hanifin? What's his cap hit right now? It's like
4.9. So it's roughly 1.3 million less.
So, but is he? He's probably. I don't see him wanting.
Oh no, from Mitchell, it's from Nylander, because Nylander's is 6.9 right now.
6.1. Yeah, but Nylander's wanting $10 million on the next contract.
What if you trade Nylander to Vancouver
for Hughes?
that gives Vancouver a scoring player that they desperately need, along with Pedersen,
I say
and
if
it brings
they
back
offer
Toronto a
Hughes
defenseman
for
that would fit our
Nylander,
system.
if they offer Hughes for Nylander straight up, I say yes, and I get that trade
Yeah.
to the NHL right away.
But you're not.
I don't even question that.
I don't think
They're
you're getting
not doing
one
that.
on one. I think there has to be some mixture of something else in there.
He's 23, and that's their captain.
Yeah.
Hughes got named their
So-
captain.
Yeah, he was
When?
named their captain this year. 2 or 3 weeks ago, right before training camp started. Because there was actually controversy.
I just
know
realized
They
that
made a
now. I didn't know
post.
that beforehand.
Yeah.
So
So they made a post. They actually made it. The team made a post on Twitter or X with all their captains on it
So-
when they left one captain out. Who do you think that captain was? He was a former New York Ranger as well.
JC Miller.
Rick Messier. Rick
Oh,
Messier.
Messier.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're still very butthurt about that shit.
Yeah.
I would personally trade him to Seattle for Vince Dunn.
Dunny boy, good old Peterborough boy.
Yeah.
That's who that because Seattle needs they need someone to play with Berniers. They need someone with Jaden Schwartz. Like that could be the person that puts them
Mhm.
over the edge on the offensive side. And
Yeah.
Dunn can be a good defensive pickup for Toronto.
I agree.
And the cap hips are very similar because Dunn's 7.3 right now. So you're not
And he
taking on too
just-
much more cap, and he signed for another 3 years after this one.
I was just going to say, you just signed an extension this summer.
Okay. So we talked a little about Nylander. Let's head over to the Rangers side of this conversation. Is it time to move on?
Hey, thanks, Swagman, for the
Is
sub.
it
We
time to
appreciate
move
it
on
here.
from the Zibanejad project over there?
Hell no. No.
I mean, he's not getting, like, you just lost Tarasenko. You just lost Patty Kane.
Yeah, but they were
But these were players
rentals.
that complement his play style. Panarin, I mean, is good, but you can't assume Panarin's going to stay there forever either.
Okay. So the Rangers top 6. If you want to count Laugh, he's a top 7. You have VZ is 8. Those 8 are signed for the next 2 years. The one you need to worry about re-signing for the season after is Capo Caco. And he is poised to have a breakout year this year. The
I think
Rangers
it is.
team is built for a few years to come. And
Mhm.
I don't Panarin signed for 3 years. They're not going to move any one of these players.
You still got a fairly young core in there. Yeah.
They do, but in the grand scheme of this young team, I'm not saying Zibanejad is old by any means, but where does he start to fit in with these players coming in that are going to want big raises when their contracts are up?
See,
If they're putting up numbers, they're going to want contracts, right?
The Rangers are the masters of these bridge deals and then contracts before the big contracts.
Your GM is
Mhm.
Chris Jury, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Former Buffalo Sabre.
Like he just got Laugh to sign a 2-year bridge deal for $2.3 million.
I would sign a bridge deal too if I'm coming off an ELC that's useless. He's still got a lot to prove.
Right, but I'm saying like the Rangers have always do that with all of their ELCs. Like it's their precedent that they've set in the past.
I wish our fucking GMs did that.
And right now in the minors, the Rangers have 4 kids that are going to be difference makers once they get brought up.
Is the Wolfpack still your affiliate?
Yes.
Okay.
The biggest one down there right now being Brennan Othman. And when he's ready to come up, he could take the place of Panarin in 3 years when he leaves. And being $8 million less, $9 million less, maybe more. Because he still he'll be on his first contract after that.
Mhm.
Fair. Now, because I started with the Leaf question, I'm going to bounce back to the Rangers for a sec. What is your biggest surprise for opening night that made the team?
I don't know if he heard you.
Are you talking to me or are you talking to you?
Yeah,
Because I'm not a
talking to
Leafs
you.
fan.
I said,
said the
I'm going to
Rangers.
bounce it back to the Rangers. And I
That's
said,
back to
who
okay.
is your biggest surprise that made the opening night roster?
For the Rangers, there really is no surprise. Like they sent all their minors down because they have some cap room, but they signed these players to come this year. The only one I would say that's a
They did what?
surprise at the moment, they signed veteran players to fill roster spots instead of bringing up the young guys.
Thank you.
They signed Blake Wheeler, Nick Bonino, Tyler Pitlick. Like they signed those guys, but they're all cheap contracts.
Oh, Jamie, Jesus Christ. Right. Okay.
The person
so,
that surprised me would be Will Cully instead of Brandon Offman. That's the one that surprised me. I thought Offman would be up this year.
So you see your opening night roster. Give me your prediction to how many points they finish with this season. Doesn't need to be a position. I just want to know how many points you think they finish with.
Like the team as a whole, you mean?
Yeah, standing wise. Like, how many points overall? Like I said, you don't need to give me 1 through 20.
No, I know what you're saying.
Okay.
I'm trying to see how many they had last year. I think last year they ended up with 107 points. I say they're going to probably get around 95 to 97.
95 to 97. Okay. Duster, I haven't really paid attention much to the preseason. I'll start paying attention Tuesday night or Monday night when the season actually begins. It's relevant to me.
Oh, Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday. Okay. So even better. That works for me even better. Who's your opening night surprise? And like I said, how many points do you think we finish with this season?
So I know like no lineups are set, but the one player I'm definitely surprised seeing through camp, which I didn't think he was going to make a big impact, was Fraser Mittman. He's looking really, really good. He looks like he could be long, especially him playing with Matthew Nyes. Maybe they can build off that. Maybe they give him the 9 games before they send him back to junior.
Right.
And point-wise, I see him being another 100 point, at least 100-point team again.
I feel like the Leafs finished at 110.
Who was that you said?
Fraser Mittman. Plays for Kamloops in junior.
Now, I have to look through the wire and everything still, but did Cowan get sent back down?
He played tonight, actually. I imagine they're going to announce probably either tonight or tomorrow morning that he's heading back down.
You don't think he made the cut?
I don't think so. He looked great in times, and
that's okay for me because I'll just go watch him in the juniors, man.
According to Cap Friendly, neither of them are on the main roster, but this could not be updated.
Yeah. So they could be sending them down too, but I don't think they have to be cap compliant till the day of the regular season opens.
Yeah, they got time.
Yeah, because they need to gain about $3 million in cap space to be cap compliant.
Speaking of cap space and spending money, now is the perfect time to go over and listen to our merch advertisement.
Want to help support Off the Top Media? Check out our merch shop. You can grab yourself a t-shirt, a teddy bear, a hat, a mug, or a bag. We have something for everyone. Head over and get yours today.
So are we actually excited for this season to kick off, or Where's your guys' temperament with this right now?
I'm excited. I'm always excited for hockey season to start.
Yeah, I always get excited around this time, and but I'm excited to see like what's going to be different this year. This is the first time in a while we've had a new GM and new eyes looking at the team.
So, speaking of new GM, what do you think about his moves in Pittsburgh?
Who?
Dubas's moves in Pittsburgh.
Who?
Who?
I think it's fucking amazing that the first thing he goes and does that's major is get an $11 million defenseman.
Yeah.
The guy just doesn't know how to space cap properly for an analytic douchebag.
I mean, they had the cap room to do it.
Yeah.
My point is, though, he's not like. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful for the team that Dubas assembled. I'm not grateful for the contracts he signed.
Yeah.
It's hurting us in the long term of things. But it is what it is. It's fucking millionaires on fucking knife blades running up and down the ice.
You got to remember, too, though, these contracts were signed at the time when they thought the cap was going to keep going up every year. And then,
well, yeah, the pandemic ruined a lot of that.
Yeah, that kind of stopped it because the cap was probably going to keep going up.
Well, I remember, what was it, 2017 or 2018? I think it was 17 when Nylander signed that contract last second. We all thought that was the absolute worst contract. And arguably, it's probably been the best contract we have on the team.
I would say so. It's worth the most. Yep.
His runs out this year, though, so.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, I know, Scals, you might have an opinion on this, but it's been going around social media now for God knows how long. But is it finally time we get a whole new goal song for the Leafs?
Yes.
I mean, I could say the same thing for the Rangers, but the Rangers is one of the most iconic ones in the league.
Right, but I don't understand how you have a bunch of 20-year-olds on a team, 20-plus-year-olds. None of them are, I mean, other than Giordano, who's like 59. But I don't understand why we ever had the Hall & Oates thing. Like, it just never made sense to me. I don't enjoy it. I think it's a stupid song for hockey. It doesn't get anybody pumped up.
No, they definitely need to do something a little bit different. They need to change it up.
I've seen some insiders saying that the Leafs are keeping hush hush with the first goal to be scored this season at home is going to be a whole new goal song. Now, I don't know the legitimacy to that, but this is what I'm seeing going around.
They're pretty awesome if they did that, though.
Yeah.
I think it's time. I think it's time.
Yeah.
How long into the 23-24 campaign do we see a trade? Not between our teams in particular, just in general in the league.
So
I would say probably by the end of October, we're going to see our first significant trade.
Who knows? We might see one before the season even opens.
Well, yeah, you might have to see
someone
one.
trying to. Yeah, you could
cap
see
space.
one for Tampa cap space. Tampa needs a goalie.
I mean, we talked about that last week, right?
Yeah.
Like, who does Tampa go for, though?
Someone that's going to get you by for 8-10 weeks.
Do they go after somebody that they can? See, it's hard because the goalie that I think is on the block that can be traded this year is not someone that's going to go to a team as a backup. He wouldn't go there.
Who would that be?
Saros.
Oh, Saros?
You know what I was thinking? Because he's not a bad goalie, and given the system that runs in Tampa, he could carry the load until Vasilevsky came back. Is their interstate rival Florida maybe sending Lyon that way?
Lions on Detroit.
Did he sign in Detroit this year?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he was still on Tampa. See, I've fallen out with a lot of hockey over the summer. Like I've been just taking the summer off of hockey.
Yeah.
So I lost
Yeah,
track
he
of
played. He played
See, but
Thursday night against the Leafs. With the
yeah, but
Twins.
he's in a minor leagues, so that could be
He could make a move for him. Yeah, 100%.
and his contract's only $900,000.
Yeah.
Like I said, Alex Lyon is a hell of a goal. I mean, Duster, me and you have seen him play live.
Yeah.
When he was down with the Philadelphia Phantoms. I think he could be a great asset to Tampa.
Tampa just seems to have that luck and make things work for people.
Remember when, excuse me, sorry. Remember when Ben Bishop was a thing?
Yeah.
Thought he was a cheat code, bro. Vasilevsky is a whole nother code.
It was huge too, Ben Bishop.
I still think Vasilevsky's equipment is bigger than it should be.
Is Bishop still
There's
playing?
definitely pictures.
Or did he retire?
No, I think he retired.
I don't think he retired. I just don't think anybody wants him.
He retired. I think he might have
Because he got
retired.
hurt a
Was it
lot
this summer or
towards the
last
end of
summer?
his seasons.
Well, he was in the Dallas system. Last I heard.
Yeah, last I heard he was Dallas's backup goalie at one point.
Mm-hmm.
So who of the current stars, we're not talking rookies, good veterans, who's going to have a breakout year this year?
On what team? The
Doesn't
Leafs?
matter, just in the league in general.
Like, who do we think is going to have a bounce back year?
Like, who's just going to come out and just surprise the hell out of everybody?
I could see Huberdeau having that bounce back year.
Speaking of him, how don't you name him captain?
Or
Like,
Kadri.
That's tough. Or Kadri. Well, I can understand the Kadri thing. Kadri's not really been proven to be exactly a team leader kind of guy. Like, love the guy, but he's never been that true voice in the room. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when he was at the Leafs, and he was a veteran for the Leafs at the time, he wasn't very much of a voice in there either. He did the complete opposite.
It seems like. No, but I don't know if they really had a real voice back then. No. Like
Well,
before
even
the
if they
JT
did,
days.
I mean, you had Lupul and Kessel, so.
Yeah.
And Lupul's never been a. Yeah, Lupul. See, we're going to rewind
Did
here.
you see his quote this week?
Who's?
Lupul. It was after.
Lupul's still alive?
Yeah, he was on a podcast this week. I forget what one it was, but he was saying
Holy shit, I didn't think they got Wi-Fi on
talking
Robben
about his
Island.
time in Toronto and saying like how hard it was, like when you're not producing and like the fans. And then he goes, then after the Jays, he goes, okay, well now I actually get it, the fans' view. After that whole Jays collapse.
The city of Toronto is dying for a major league championship. Yes, the Raptors won one. Okay. But
TFC won one.
Yeah. But
It's
you look at the existence of the Jays and how long they've been here. The existence of the Leafs and how long they've been here. The Raptors have only been here 20-some years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you have the TFC that are only like 10 years old. Maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. I don't really pay attention to MLS. But when it comes to the Jays and the Leafs, the expectations are so high that it's hard not to buy into the hype these teams get us going with. I never had any faith in the Jays to do shit anyways because they just snuck in. The stupidest thing they did was take out their pitcher on a hot streak in the game like an idiot. And now look, they're gone. I mean, it serves them right.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck the Jays. Vladdy and I understand this is a hockey show, and I apologize to anybody watching for the hockey content. But Vladdy and Bo, either they need to smarten up and speak up, or they need to go. Plain and simple. Vladdy is not the next. Vladdy's not Ortiz, man. He can't do it all.
No. Like, I'm not a huge baseball guy, so it is kind of hard to comment on a lot of this stuff because I don't really understand baseball a whole lot. Enough to
Well,
comment
Scales,
on
you're a
it,
big
man.
ball fan. What have you seen in the Jays that they could do better?
I feel like they just sometimes they overcoach the team, and that happens with a lot of teams too. Especially because everything now is analytic driven, so it's not really feel. It's not that. It's not the gut feelings anymore. It's based off of all the analytics, so everything is done. It's just too overcoached. The entire sport right now, I feel, is the same way. It's not just the Jays; it's every team.
Seems like every sport's kind of going that way, right?
Especially
like,
hockey.
Hockey micromanaged and
analytic-driven now.
micro-coached.
Mm-hmm.
Why everything's so micro-coached? So
It's hard. I mean, I don't want to be the guys that do the analytics by any means in any sport, because I guarantee you they've never even played the sport in their lives. They're just running off data.
yeah,
And let's say a guy who's studied analytic baseball, or excuse me, hockey. Okay, cool. But how can you tell me where your passion is, the passion, if you will, halfway through a game in a very meaningful game? How are you going to say, okay, we're going to run the fourth line because analytically they have more scoring chances than our first line? You can't do that because those fourth line guys are like, probably, why am I out here? Well, the fucking main guys are like, let's get in there. Let's do it. They're rising with passion. I don't think it's fair to have, like you guys said, the micro coaching. Like, you can't be doing this analytic bullshit in games.
well,
Analytics is ruining sports.
To an extent,
you
yes.
gotta be yeah. At the same time, though, like say the Jays instance, right? Like, you gotta know you don't take out a hot pitcher. That and there's the press meeting today with Atkins blaming Schneider. Schneider was blaming Atkins. It's going back and forth. I think it's time to just get rid of both of them.
I think it's just time to blow up the whole Jays team in general.
See, what the whole problem with that is, you change coaches, it's going to be the same thing with the next coach.
That's what I say. You change the culture.
That's what you
completely.
get rid of the GM
you get rid of
too,
Bo,
though.
You get rid of Vladdy. I understand Vladdy's a generational player, but is he? He can hit home runs. That's great.
Yeah.
Cool. But where is he in the big situations?
Mm-hmm.
He got picked off at second base in one of the most important games of the year, like a fucking amateur. And you have Bo Bichette trying to steal home in game one. Like, why? It's garbage. It's not
the Toronto Yips, man. Does Toronto have the Yips, like the city of Toronto, for all sports?
I don't know. Maybe Toronto needs to be like Chicago and burn down, and then we could just rise like the Phoenix. You know, just burn every franchise building to the ground and restart new buildings. That might help. New grounds. I swear they're on some like Indian burial grounds or some shit. Like the curse in Toronto.
Just figure it out.
You think about it. The Raptors didn't even win in Toronto. They had to win in fucking Golden State, wherever they play out of. Oakland.
Mm-hmm.
The city of Toronto is cursed. It's just how it is.
It could be. Who knows? Or does the city of Toronto have just a cultural issue just in general? We idolize these players.
Right. I mean, that's what I mean. You've had this conversation at length at times.
Yeah.
But nothing's going to change in any of these major league sports unless we stop caring. And that's the problem when it comes to the Leafs. People are
No
still
one's
going
gonna
to be
stop
going.
caring.
Nobody's going to empty that arena. Nobody's boycotting these games. I understand that they ride hot in the season. Everybody wants to be there for it. But let's set the tone for a season and not show up to half their games. Don't file into that arena. Make them fix something. Make them show us why we should believe in them.
Well, look, like the Rangers. Does the Rangers still sell out when
Every
they're
game.
not?
Every game.
Like even when they're bad?
Every game. Because
so they
but
they're
the majority of the Rangers ones are all corporate based.
just like Toronto then. Basically just like Toronto then, basically then.
So it's some people won't go to the thing, but the tickets are already sold. So it doesn't matter if you don't show up.
Exactly. Well, the way it comes down to it, and like you probably look at like viewership and stuff like that. Like those, you got to hit them where it hurts, like to make real actual changes. And I do. I see the Rangers, and they. What was your former GM's name again?
John Davidson.
John David, the guy with the scar, right? The guy always has a scar in his mouth.
No, that's the. Isn't that the?
Or is
No,
the
that
owner?
was the old coach.
Was it the coach? I thought it was the GM. Wasn't Gordon? Was it?
That was the. He was the president.
Oh, okay. It's the president. Okay. Yeah, he was there for like ever. Was he not?
Mm-hmm. Glenn Sather, I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Sather. Yeah, that's who.
Yeah, that was the president.
Yeah, he's not the president anymore, is he?
No.
Seems like after that, got rid of them, and like you guys were starting to build with him there, and then you guys were starting to get bullied around, right? And you guys made changes, and you guys, your team became tougher as a whole. I think Trouba, adding Trouba to your guys' team, I was actually so jealous of that move. So, all those big hits, the timely hits that he makes. Yeah, the timely hits he makes. Gets the crowd going even.
Yeah, he gets called a dirty player, though.
That's what the Leafs need to do. Steve Tambellini, Bell, and Rogers need to just say, fuck it, we're going to sell the team. Because Rogers and Bell aren't doing shit for the team. They're not bringing anything. It just looks good on their taxes.
Yep.
Tambellini could care less about the Leafs. He's more of a Raptors, Jays guy.
Mm-hmm. And he doesn't even own it. He's the Rogers part, yeah.
But like I say, sell it to somebody that actually gives a shit. Have them come in, fire every fucking buddy, including Shanahan. I mean, obviously you can't fire the new GM because he just got there, but you need to fire Shanahan too. That culture needs to change.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with him and Dubas. I don't care. But in the entire time Shanahan's been running things, we haven't done anything significant to even warrant him staying on.
No.
That the Leafs teams, like every media scrum, everything, they preach this culture. What culture is changing?
Nothing.
You can't keep having Matthews and Marner go out there looking like absolute sibs in press conferences because they didn't get it done. How long did it take fucking Ovi to get it done? How long did it take Lemieux to get it done? Like, these players are coming into their own in a pressure cooker market. Good on them for the way they still produce. I'll never shit. Like, I've gotten mad at both of them. I get it. I have. But at the end of the day, when I sit down and think about it, why am I doing that?
You still gotta think though, man. Like, it is a pressure cooker, but like the Rangers, there's lots of pressure to play there. Like Rangers are I would say they're like the most comparable American team to us. I would say.
I would say Boston and New York for sure are the two teams that would resemble the closest, because being the original six would be
But
the
Boston
closest to a
has always
Canadian
had
market for
that.
pressure.
Boston's always had that identity, though, right? Like
Yeah.
hard to play against, tough. We're gonna beat you up. Like they've kind of played that style forever.
Yeah. That's fair.
And like, yeah, it might be a bit of a pressure cooker, but like they've shown success. They won a cup. They are successful in the playoffs. They play well in the playoffs. They've gone to the final even a few times and not winning.
Is it just fair to maybe assume that as Leaf fans and maybe as Rangers fan, we have really high expectations that it's unbeatable?
Pretty much.
No, I don't though, because when you make it to the NHL, you don't start the season being like, "Oh, I just want to play mediocre." Everyone wants to win the cup, and having that expectation should be there as players too every year too. Do I agree of personally attacking these players? No, you don't attack players on social media. That's going over the line. But to be mad at the team and at that, I believe it is totally justified when sports fans develop so much time, so much passion. People look in the lineups, people watch the trades, people watch everything with their sport team.
I mean, shit, we have a whole show.
So involved. Exactly.
Okay. I'm gonna end off the NHL part of this because next week we'll have definitely a lot more to talk about. This is more of just a conversation piece of the pod, guys. Next week we'll have games to cover, highlights. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll have tons to talk about. With that, I'm gonna say that can conclude tonight's episode. I think we'll leave off on that before we go down a rabbit hole we probably shouldn't. So, Scouts, where can the people find you?
You can find me right here off the top on Twitch and TikTok, as well as YouTube. Yeah.
Dusty, where can the people find you?
They can find me on X/Twitter at McDuster705 and on TikTok at McDuster705.
And you can find me on TikTok at thatguyshadow.91. That's where I post all my content. If you want to see me live for whatever fucking reason, you can check me out at thatguyshadow.91.3. You can find me here on Rivet City Radio and Off the Top live Monday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern with Sorry for the Interruption, where it's a no-holds-barred chat. Yeah, you can pretty much find me on X or Twitter, whatever the fuck you want to call it nowadays. That guy's Shadow91. If you find me on any social medias outside of those, please don't add me unless you're actually somebody I care about and know. And with that, the schedule for the lineup tomorrow morning, we have, I believe it's at 11 a.m. Could be a little bit earlier.
11:30 a.m.
Oh, there you go. 11:30 a.m. We have Rivet City Red Zone with Mike and the crew. Later in the day, we have Botch Spots and Chair Shots with Will and the boss bitch herself, Allison. Following that, we have the Table Spot. So, yeah. And going into Tuesday, if you're not busy, at 4:20 in the afternoon, you can catch Will and Jaxpo live with Nerdy News. Later in the evening, you can find the man of the hour to my right, I guess, Scals with NXT on tap. Wednesdays, you can catch Cam G with Da Boom. Thursdays is the Boss Bitch Trivia Hour. And Fridays, making their triumphant return this week after a little bit of a busy week for them, they have Friday Night Review with Cam G, Scals, Jamie. And of course, you can catch us here next Saturday. We'll be here talking about everything NHL next week, which we should have a lot of highlights to talk about. The one highlight I forgot to talk about tonight would be Marc-Andre Fleury welcoming Connor Bedard to the league. Damn, pissed about that. But if you haven't seen it, go find it because it's great. But yeah, so thank you. And keep your sticks on the ice.